What's up, alumni? Welcome to a very special episode of After 4. This is our 200th episode, and it is cause for celebration. And not only is it our 200th episode, we're also celebrating 5 years of After 4 being out there helping you navigate life after graduation. I've got a number of fun things planned for us today, including some visits from some alumni just like you who have been listening to the podcast for a while now. I'm excited to get to share some of their stories and to see some of the ways that After 4 has been helpful for them as they navigate life after graduation. We also have a special mystery guest who's going to come up later on. I will reveal who that is a little bit later, but for now, let's get some introductions so you can get to know our listeners turned guests who are going to be on the podcast today. Here are a few of the people who you'll be hearing from throughout the episode. First up is Kao Lee.
So I am Callie Hing. I went to school at UW Stout, so University of Wisconsin Stout. Graduated in 2020.
Then we have Isaac.
I graduated this past May in 2025, and I was a part of Baylor University's Koinonia InterVarsity, and I've loved every second of it.
And finally, Josephine.
Yeah, my name's Josephine, and I graduated 6 months ago from Wheaton College, Massachusetts.
All right, and we're going to hear a bunch more from those three over the course of the episode. But first, before we hear something more from them, I thought it would be fun just to play a little game, and it's a comparison game. Now, typically, I would not recommend making comparisons. It's just not all that healthy most of the time. But since we're celebrating 200 episodes of After 4, I thought it could be kind of fun to see where After 4 stands in comparison to other shows. Now, comparing to other podcasts, even as a podcaster, does not sound all that interesting to me. So I figured we'd just stick with popular TV shows and see where we fall in the rankings here. And we'll do this in two different parts. Part one, we're going to do a list of 5 popular TV shows that have fewer episodes than After 4. Here we go, and we'll work up in order here. So first on the list that I have for us, Breaking Bad. Extremely popular show. I don't know that I can necessarily recommend it to you, or that I should recommend it to you. But Breaking Bad, only 62 episodes, a pretty easy win for us there. But coming in next on the list, more than doubling, or actually like exactly doubling the number of episodes here, is Parks and Recreation. Another winner of a show. I love Parks and Recreation. Such a great show. Lots of fun. First introduction, really serious introduction to Chris Pratt for me and Amy Poehler. You have a hard time finding anybody funnier than Amy Poehler. But only 124 episodes of Parks and Recreation. So still a pretty serious victory for After 4 on that one. This next one, I mean, this is like a classic show. I Love Lucy, coming in next here with only 181 episodes, and we're still almost 20 episodes ahead of the world famous I Love Lucy. Next, coming in just a few episodes higher than I Love Lucy, one of my all-time favorite shows for sure, Michael Scott for the win with The Office. 188 episodes. Now, I don't know if that's I didn't go back and look at the season by season. I don't know if that's counting some of the shorts that they did with the people from accounting, or if that's just straight up regular episodes. But either way, 188 episodes from The Office, a pretty narrow win by After 4 on that one. And the last one, number 5 on the list here of shows that have fewer episodes than After 4, Bluey, coming in at 195. And I have to say, as a parent of at the time of this recording, 7- and 3-year-old, that feels like a pretty big victory to me. Those two love Bluey. And to say that I get to be a part of a podcast that has more episodes than Bluey, that feels like a pretty big win. Okay, but so since we're comparing, it seems to me that it's only fair to take a look at some popular TV shows that have considerably more episodes than After 4. So here we go, part 2, 5 popular television shows with more, and in some instances, way more than 200 episodes. First, Friends, 235 episodes. Not much, just a little bit of a warm up for us here. And actually, by the end of the year, we will have surpassed Friends here in 2026. So definitely tangible. Friends coming in first there. Next, South Park. Again, I don't know if that's a show that I can recommend to you. I've never been a huge fan, but 337 South Park episodes, at least at the time that I did my research here. I have no idea how quickly they're releasing those episodes at this point. I don't keep tabs on the show. But South Park with 337 episodes, it's going to take us a while to get to that one. Huge jump from this next one, and somebody who both in number of episodes and just in general, somebody that you want to live up to in the way that they live their life, Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers is absolutely crushing us in the number of episodes because they've released 896 episodes of Mr. Rogers. Did you have any idea that there were that many? I mean, I could not have guessed that. So Mr. Rogers did a great job in his episode releases there. It's going to take a while before we get there. Next up on the list with, adding just over 100 more episodes than Mr. Rogers, Saturday Night Live. Now, I'm certain that certainly since between the time that I recorded this and the time that you're hearing it, that SNL has probably added a few more episodes since then. But Saturday Night Live, 997 at the time that I did my research for this. So it's very possible. I don't know what their season schedule runs, but they may have just celebrated like their 1,000th episode in the recent past here. I don't know. In which case, congratulations, SNL. Another kind of contentious show. Everybody has their season, or their season of time that they think SNL peaked and has never been nearly as good since. We all have our opinions about that. I don't want to start any fights here, so I won't name mine about it, but I do have opinions. 997, 1,000 episodes. That is quite a benchmark right there, just about 1,000. And then last on the list here, we have somebody that's just blowing everybody out of the water. And once again, fairly wholesome show to sort of live up to, and that's Sesame Street. Sesame Street winning the day here on our list of episodes with 4,737 episodes. Would you have guessed that Big Bird has done that many episodes? I mean, that's just unbelievable. Sesame Street, way to go. Definitely something for us to shoot for. I mean, at our current release rate, I did the math on this, and we should hit that number in approximately 118 years. So, from then, but at that point, we'll also be transmitting from Mars, and all you InterVarsity alumni listening at that time will have graduated from, schools completely taught by AI. So we will have a whole new list of transition topics to discuss by then. Which leads me to an interesting point here. I feel like this is a great time to mention that this podcast is kept alive by the support of ministry partners. And if we're going to be transmitting from Mars, then we're going to need a lot of them to keep up and running until the year 2144, which is when we would hit that almost 5,000 episode mark. So please send in your donations now, alumni, to help us keep going for the next, 118 years. That'd be awesome. A few different hosts between now and then, I'm sure. So after 200 episodes of After 4, we've gotten to cover a bunch of really great topics, with many more to come in anticipation of 100 more years of content, so that we can live up to Sesame Street. But it doesn't seem quite so meaningful if I tell you about them. So let's jump back to our special guests, Cowley, Isaac, and Josephine, and hear what some of their most meaningful moments have been on the podcast.
I think I remember it was the episode on volunteering within a varsity. It was someone that I think took a break from school, or like further education or like a job or something, and then she started volunteering within a varsity. And at the time, I was like, I'm kind of jealous because I was like, well, I want to do that, for some reason, I here and there, I would just miss in a varsity, and I was already at that season where I wanted to serve, but I don't know how to serve like university and like in the church, and learning to reuse my resources, what I've learned. But yeah, and I guess I didn't know that we could stay connected with InterVarsity, where we could volunteer or like do some work with InterVarsity. And so, yeah, it was really encouraging to hear her story and her testimony, and just how she still kept in connection with InterVarsity, and serve in that way.
Yeah, I gotta say the one with rest, finding rest in rhythms. Rhythms are so important, and I just have never really embraced that until now. But even then, still working on establishing healthy rhythms of rest. But the thing is, I had way overcommitted myself in my chapter with so many different commitments. Within 2 weeks, I was already so burnt out. I was like emotionally drained. I was emotionally exhausted. It wasn't just a physical, you know what I'm saying? Um, I think, yeah, and like that whole semester, I just struggled with that. I even got physically sick because of burnout. Over the last few years, I've been really learning that Sabbath is relevant today. It's not just part of this old system that we just did away with, but really, like I love the verse when Jesus says, "The Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath." And really, also wanted to shout out John Mark Comer's "Ruthless Elimination of Hurry" as I read, and there's this whole chapter on Sabbath, and it was just eye opening. But then what really did it was the After Four podcast on talking about Sabbath and finding that rhythm, because that really is a rhythm.
Yeah, I think for favorite topics, it has to be just like the loneliness and friendship element. How much of your life changes. For me, I went from living in a suite with three other girls, and then of course being on a very walkable campus, where everyone I knew for the last 4 years was within 8 minutes of me, to living entirely alone in a one-bedroom apartment. Uh, I'm away from family. There's not my age demographic I don't work with, and I don't go to church with either, in my particular church setting. And so having that complete shift of everyone you're around, for me, about 1,700 students, being within your age by 3 years, to being around no one your age and seeing your friends maybe once a month instead of every single meal, was a huge transition. And so just hearing, you can hear "you're not alone" or "this is normal" a million times, but doesn't, that doesn't feel the same as hearing someone else's story of going through the same thing. And I really appreciated, I think it was actually in a more recent episode, you had said that during your own transition, into life after college, you would turn on the TV right after coming home. And that is kind of exactly what After Four and a bunch of other podcasts have been for me. That, like, just on my drive home, or while I'm doing dishes or doing laundry or whatever, like, I don't have to be entirely alone. I can still feel like someone else is having a conversation around me, even if I'm not a part of it.
Yes, I can majorly identify with the experience of loneliness after graduation. Sometimes just the sound of other voices on the TV or on a podcast is all you have to help you get some sort of meaningful human contact, or at least what feels like meaningful human contact. But over time, those meaningful relationships come, and that is it's a really sweet experience, but sometimes it does just take a while. It takes a lot of persistence. All right. I know that I said it wasn't all that special if I shared what I thought was meaningful from this podcast, but I do think it's worth mentioning a few more of these really cool series that we've gotten to spend time with over the last few years. And something I love about what we're doing with After Four is that these series have components that feel both practical, just very practical how-to kind of stuff, and then also very discipleship oriented. So we're helping alumni with some day-to-day skills, and we are helping alumni continue to cultivate the soil of your hearts so that you can keep saying yes to Jesus for the rest of your life. We want you to lean into a lifelong pursuit of Jesus. And some of the series that come to my mind as I think about this, I think about the Big Questions series from last year. We brought in experts to provide answers to some of the really big questions that new grads are asking, or maybe that they haven't thought about asking and that we would recommend that they be keeping in mind. We asked a bunch of different questions, things like, what should I do about my anxiety? Should I cancel Netflix? That was an interesting conversation, unexpected in a few different ways. And our most popular by far of that series, and one of our top episodes of the year last year, was asking the question, is church worth waking up for? Another series we did called the Post-College GOAT series, greatest of all time, back in 2022, is also a really fond memory for me. One, because it was the very first official series that we did on the podcast, and that was really fun to sort of play around with some of these ideas of trying to do a cohesive series. It was also enjoyable because we had some really poorly made but funny artwork. That was back when I was doing a lot of the creative side of things for the podcast. Thankfully, we have majorly upgraded with our editor and content creator, Caleb Leppert. Caleb, thank you. I'm super grateful for you. And even if they haven't realized it, the people who listen to this podcast are extremely grateful for you. So thank you, Caleb. And three, because it held our most popular episode to date, the Post-College GOAT series did, and that was the episode Invest That Bread with Michael Lopez. Lots of great practical and spiritual advice about our posture towards money in that episode. And I think we're going to try to get Michael back on the podcast later this year, so stay tuned. He has a lot of great things to share. So I'm hoping that we can bring him back. We'll see what happens there. So as you can see, whether it's very practical or if it's more about shaping alumni in their relationship with Jesus or both, there's been a lot of really great learning that our guests have provided for us over the years. And I think it's helpful once again to hear a few things from Cowley, from Isaac, and from Josephine, and some of the things that they've learned that they've found most helpful since listening to After Four.
I would also say the importance of a budget. And, we're not living on mommy's paycheck anymore, guys. I had a student job here at Baylor in undergrad, but whenever I needed something important, I would call my mom. And what I mean by that is, like, if there's like, my refrigerator, one time, my refrigerator like shelf broke off, and I was like, I need the payment. But anyways, yeah, like budgeting is never something that I did, just because. I would say I grew up privileged. I always had 3 meals on the table. Mom and dad both worked. We had a good amount of income, so I was always well fed as a kid. But then now I'm on my own. My mom and dad literally said to me, Isaac, we are not going to pay for a single cent for after you graduate. You're on your own now. I mean, they love me and I love them. Trust me, it's all good there. But it's just like they want me to, to be weaned off of their paycheck, and which rightfully so. I remember there was an episode actually that I did listen to about like budgeting and finance, and I'm sure there are many more that I haven't listened to yet. So I'm super thankful for that practical way.
Another way that After Four has helped me thrive after graduation is just giving me adulthood is still a journey, and especially this season that you're in right now isn't forever, and that includes like your relationship with Jesus right now. So if you're like a couple months out of school and really struggling with your faith or with social life or work or anything like that, you have way more time than you think you do. And like, it's not over. This isn't where everything else is. It's not just you're like locked into a new position and that's where you stay. Things keep moving and things keep changing.
I mean, yeah, it's that a lot of people are like probably going through a lot of challenges after graduation, but it made me feel less lonely in my journey with Jesus. Even though I don't even know these people, but just to really hear their testimony and what they've been through, and at the time it was like that was me too, so yeah, that really helped encourage me to and inspire me to just keep saying yes to Jesus and not give up and just to really hold on. Because I'm really not the only one that's going through struggles and challenges. And yeah, I just received a lot.
I love that so much. Helping alumni keep saying yes to Jesus is why this podcast exists. I've said it before, even just in this episode. I've said it in other places. And it is such an encouragement to know that that is happening. So thankful for those stories from our three guests today. Hey, it feels way too early to say this, but we're going to step into our last segment of the episode here. And this last segment is based on a really important tradition that we've had on After Four since the beginning. And that's that every guest gives a final word of encouragement or advice for their fellow alumni before we wrap up the conversation. And I mentioned at the top of the episode that we would have a special mystery guest who is going to be joining us today. Well, it is time to unveil who that is. Giving his own special pastoral word of advice for you all alumni is InterVarsity's very own president, Tom Lynn. Here's Tom Lynn for you all.
Hey, InterVarsity graduates. I just want to say blessings on this new season of life. For any alum graduate who's moving into a new season, I usually say that, your context may have changed, but your convictions and values don't need to. And so the three things I would just encourage folks to think about. One is the Lordship of Jesus has probably been something that you have experienced and committed your life to from college and beyond and in the previous season. And it should be in the next season. What does Jesus, Lord of my life, look like? What are the things that I need to submit under the Lordship of Jesus in this new season? So that's one thing, is that as you enter a new season, think about the Lordship of Jesus in this new season. A second piece is the mission mindset. I think for many college students and then beyond, they're always thinking about, where is the mission that the Lord's leading me to? Who are the people I'm supposed to love and engage in this season? So in the new season, what is your new mission? Where is the mission field, the place, the people group that God has called me to? And then third is community and relationships. Significant part of many students' experience within InterVarsity and graduates. So in the new season, where is my community? Which is the group of people I'm supposed to invest in being with, being on mission with, partnering with, giving my life to? Where is that community? So that's my encouragement.
Tom, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for sharing that word of encouragement. So amazing to get to hear from you in this space today as we celebrate 200 episodes and 5 years of After Four. Tom joined us years ago and told a little bit of his story. But if you'd like to hear more from Tom, he actually came back and joined us on our other podcast, InterVarsity World Changers. He shares about some of his own story from campus as a student with InterVarsity to living on mission in the tech world to circling back into full-time vocational ministry and just seeing what that experience has been like for him and his journey of following Jesus and saying yes to partnering with him in his world-changing work. You can check the show notes for the link to Tom's full InterVarsity World Changers episode. But before you go, I know that Cowley, Isaac, and Josephine have a few parting words of their own that they'd like to share with you. Enjoy.
I received this advice when I was in college, and I realized that I was actually living this advice. And it says something about just not making finding your life's work become your life's work. And yeah, I feel like I was searching for a little too long, and I was taking a lot of my time to like really figure out the rest of my life in a way, and like what I need to pursue, where I should go, where I should live, and just really how I should really be now after this degree, and what do I do with it? But I was taking a little longer than I probably should have, and I feel like it really became my work to figure out my work, my life's work. And I actually received this advice this year, and from my boyfriend actually. And so I And I wish I heard this advice back then. It was like, you can take your time, but you should not waste your time. And so that was what I felt like I needed to hear at that time yeah, to make sure that I'm not wasting my time. And I feel like I probably did. But, in a way, I was thankful. I was very thankful for their journey because that's how I found my dependence on God a lot.
I'd probably say, especially if you're listening to this already, you have probably heard a lot of advice. You're probably looking for a lot of ways to be prepared. And all of those things are good and they can help you be less surprised, but they're not going to help you not feel what happens. And I think that was something I was trying to protect myself from. If I can learn everything about the psychology of your 20s, everything about the psychology of transition, then I can know exactly what's going to happen and I'll know how to respond to it appropriately, which is not necessarily wrong, but it doesn't help you not experience it. Like, you're still going to feel it. How I would talk to a grad is like, your self-concept might radically change. It might not, but how you view your identity, how you view yourself, it could all happen in the next 3 months that it blows up. It doesn't have to. I hope it doesn't. I also kind of hope it does because I'm like, things are starting to look better, but no amount of preparation will prevent you from feeling that experience.
The main thing is you are not alone. That you are not alone. Because for one, Jesus is with us. And he loves you. He cares for you. And there is so much grace for you. And honestly, like having someone there who is grounded in the word, just to encourage, just to say like, even if there is no one physically there, they can listen to this podcast and just say there is someone out there who relates. That there are people out there who are going through similar things. I'm not someone on this podcast who has it all together, and like I am still wrestling through it. I'm still going through it. But I really appreciate like how, John, you've had us, like people like myself, like just sharing. Yeah, how is it actually impacting people who is a target demographic here? So yeah, that's my encouragement is that you are not alone, and there is someone out there, and there's a friend that is closer than a brother.
So awesome. Alumni, can I just say it has been a great honor to get to host this podcast as we do our very best to bring in the right experts, mentors, and fellow alumni who can help equip you so that you can keep saying yes to Jesus after graduation. If we've accomplished that, then I feel like we are doing the work that God has given us to do. We are accomplishing the mission that we have set out to accomplish in this work. And I mentioned this jokingly earlier, but in all seriousness, it really does require a community to keep this podcast going. And I just want to ask if this podcast has been a blessing to you, or if you've shared it with others and it's been a powerful tool for their own walk with Jesus after graduation, would you consider becoming a regular partner with this work? A $25, $50, or $100 a month gift would make a huge difference in helping us continue to make sure that alumni like you have a companion and a guide through the process of transition to life after graduation. If that's something you'd enjoy doing, please follow the link in the show notes to our donation page and help us keep telling these great stories and helping alumni like you keep saying yes to Jesus. And thank you so much for doing that. And a huge thank you to our extremely special guests today, Cowley, Isaac, and Josephine. You've helped make the 200th episode more special than I ever could have on my own. Thank you for being a part of After 4. Thanks for listening and thanks for sharing. Thank you, Tom Lynn, for joining us today. And alumni, thanks to the rest of you for joining us as well. Thank you for tuning in. I am so grateful to have you as a part of this alumni community. We are all indeed in this together. It is a journey that we are on together as we navigate the season of life after graduation. And I hope that these last 200 episodes of After 4 have been a blessing to you and have helped you keep saying yes to Jesus. Here's to the next 200 episodes together. I'm so excited to see where we go from here. And to start us off on that next 200 episode journey, be sure to come back next week as we kick off our first series of 2026. It's called Oops. We are going to be telling stories of failure and reframing failure and talking about how God redeemed failure to accomplish his own purposes, or maybe just to step in and be a comfort to us. A lot of great stories coming up in that series. Until then, consider sharing this episode with someone who needs to hear it, and I will see you in the after, alumni. Thanks for listening to After 4. This podcast is brought to you by the InterVarsity Alumni Relations Team, hosted and produced by John Steele, production assistance by Mike Centera, edited by Caleb Leppert, and our After 4 theme music was written and performed by John Steele.
I can tell that we're trying to wrap up, but if you want a soundbite, I will also say that another practical way that After 4 has helped me is that I get to listen to someone with a Midwestern accent, which has really been helping me with my homesickness. I'm from Minnesota and I live in New England. That's where I went to college. That's where I live now. And I get to listen to someone who I would have believed was from Minnesota originally. Say words like Mankato in the same sentence as talking about Jesus, and that feels like I'm at home.